Hello and welcome. This is the Trader's Winning Edge software package training video number 3. And I am Dave Jackson, and in this video we are going to do a intro to the major component of this package, and that is the FTJacksonProTWE. And we're also going to take a look at the stop and reverse and also the sounds and alerts. And of course, the first thing we need to do is to go over the disclaimer statement. First one is risk disclosure, and just some highlights. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Trading involves substantial risk. Only trade money you can afford to lose. No one can guarantee profits or freedom from loss. The next panel is the U.S. government required disclaimer. Trading has large potential rewards and large potential risks. Don't trade money you can't afford to lose, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Now we have up that all-important CFTC Rule 4.41. Simulated results do not represent actual trading. Simulated trading programs have the benefit of hindsight. And the last one, substantial risk is involved, and you must be willing to accept this risk. Again, don't trade money you can't afford to lose, and no offer is being made in this video to buy or sell futures, options, stocks, or ETFs. And I appreciate your patience as we go through this necessary part. And we have a generic chart up here. It happens to be a NASDAQ, and it's a 5-2, but it could be any setting. And the first thing we want to take a look at is what happens when we apply the FT Jackson Pro, and in particular, all we're going to take a look at here first is the stop and reverse feature. Now we see the stop and reverse is applied to this chart, and this particular stop and reverse is ATR based, and it's actually 2 of them. And the dots, the cyan dots, and the red dots are what are known as the FAR line. It's the bigger ATR number. And the little cyan hash marks, or the little red hash marks, are what is going to be referred to in the software as the near line. And I want to bring this up on the indicators. And so here we are, FT Jackson Pro TWE. And I just want to go through this. And we start off with the very typical ninja stuff at top. One thing I'm going to come back to when we get to some of the signals is calculate on bar close. Well, you can choose false or true. Please take my word for it for now. You want that to be false, and it'll become real important a little later on. But just keep that in mind, and that's how it will come defaulted. If you do set that to true, you're going to lose a few things, and you're going to wonder what happened. The auto scale also on false, and very important to have that. What we're looking at on the chart, and let's see if I can slide this over a little bit. There we go, is this stop and reverse. This is right now on the ATR setting. If you notice, you can do some other settings with it. My experience has been the ATR setting seems to work the best, but you're free to experiment with these others. The first number here, and we've got a far line and a near line. Remember, the far line in this case are the dots, and you can make those dots or any other shape you want in the plot section. The near line are the hash marks. So the far line multiplier, if you notice, is bigger than the near line multiplier. And that's really about all that changes. So if we want to make this thing farther away, Let's just make this a 5, just for sake of argument. Well, it's quite a bit farther away. Okay, now I'm going to make it 3.3 again, because we're going to add something to it in a minute. But the same can be done. Usually a good starting point with this is for the far to be somewhere around 3. In the 3s, and the near to be somewhere in the 2s. So that's the stop and reverse. But I want to show you something that we're going to use in another video, because it actually can be used as a filter for one of our signals. And we are going to show the vertical far cross trend line. So let's put that to true. And this is how it's going to default. And hit apply. And I'm going to close this down. Now what we have a green line here forming, because that was the first bar to cross over the far ATR line. So that's a nice little short-term, hey, we've got an uptrend going now. And when this bar crossed below the cyan, we got a red line. So a little bit of scrolling through. Of course, when you get into a congested area, you got a lot of lines. And you can just see where these lines come in. Now remember, these lines are purely depending on where that ATR, that far line. So these lines are not based on the near line. So if you want these lines to be, tucked in here, you'd use a smaller number on that and bring those dots down to here, and vice versa. So that is the stop and reverse and little vertical lines. And by the way, these vertical lines you can set up to give you an audio alert when these lines occur. And let's just continue our tour through this Felton Trading Jackson Pro, as it's being called. So we looked at the stop and reverse. One thing I would like to point out, and this is going to be true of any of the indicators, including the Jackson Pro, one nice thing that the programmer Rod Armour does that I have noticed, I'm just going to click on a line here. You will see that he is very good about putting a description down here. So he clicked on far line multiplier. So he puts a description. Multiplying factor for the ATR far line. Higher means larger stops. Okay, what about that one? Near line multiplier. Multiplier for the ATR near line. Higher means larger stops. Now this is going to be true. I just used those as a couple examples. But Rod is very, very good about every line in here having a nice little description. Some of the descriptions are short and some are quite lengthy. So that's the stop and reverse. The next stop on the tour here is the sounds and alerts window. Now I mentioned a little earlier up here about calculate bar on close faults. The reason that is important, what's unique about these alerts, and remember there's alerts for all three signals. We'll be going over these, the BR signal, the SQ, the SR, and there's alerts for all the different vertical lines. Notice this says signal and warning. The warning gives you a heads up before the signal ever completes. If you put that calculate on bar close true, you will lose the warning. Just a little pointer there, but very important. These warnings are particularly helpful if you're watching multiple charts, because it gives you time to get your order in. And there are all kinds of little things for the setup. There's 4 different voices with this. So you can, on different charts, you can have a different voice. And you can choose, do you want the chart symbol, the chart type, the signal type? Do you want to show the MACD trend line, which we'll get to in another video? The SAR trend, which we looked at. Do you want to have that be an alert? So many things you can do with these alerts. Yeah, they're very, very helpful. Going down, now most of these things I have turned off because I didn't want everything showing at once. We've got the BR signal. If I was to turn that to true, that's going to open up a whole nother window of things. And we'll just do that real quick. So if we say we're going to show those, it's going to ask us a whole bunch of questions. And we'll spend an entire video going through that. The next signal is the squeeze signal. And it has a whole host of settings that we'll go through every one of them in a future video. And the next signal, the third signal, is the ZR. And that is what Jerry refers to as a zero line rejection. And we just shorten it to ZR. And that is a MACD based. And again, that'll have a whole video done on that. Notice down here we've got these confirming EMAs. Now, there's 5 of them. Notice it says confirm the BR signal with an EMA, or confirm a ZR signal with an EMA. So this is one of the filtering mechanisms you can use with both the ZRs and the BRs up at top. So many filters, and like I say, these will all be covered in upcoming videos. And then we get down to the standard Ninja plot section, and it's pretty much standard stuff down here. Nothing too interesting. Just look through, see what each of these refer to. All of these moving averages that you can filter with. Well, this is where you're going to change the color and whether you want it to be a solid or a dash, so on and so forth. And when we get way to the bottom, notice you can choose times. If you have determined that, hey, I know the best time to trade my chart type and market is certain times a day, you can set this up to only show you signals during that time. Well, that is the little tour through this Jackson Pro, and wanted to keep this one kind of short, as we'll be moving into the individual signals on the next video. And which one are we going to do first? Well, I decided to take them in order. Well, the first one on the list here is the BR signal. So that will be the title of the next video, and I will see you then. Thanks a lot.